Hey everyone, Marty here. Hello, of course. And I wanted to do this tapping video for smoking that Judy, you had requested. And we'll deal with all the kind of food stuff on the 21 days. I'll call it food stuff. It's so much more than that. But a couple things. So I personally have not had the smoking issue. Two of my sisters did. My mother smoked her whole life, died smoking. Still smoking, but my sisters both quit. And both of them said it was so hard to quit, so hard to quit. My father just put him down. He got done with being in the Marine Corps and just put him down. Just stopped. But he had a sugar addiction, so that was not something he was ever able to stop. So one thing I want to explore with this is always when you quit a behavior and then say the behavior gets re-triggered, something starts back up, you want to pay attention to what was float back to that time, the day that you took that first cigarette again, and what was going on for you that day. If you can, as best you can, float back to that time, take a look at that and see what comes. Because typically there was something going on. It was a trigger. So and I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with my sister the other day, completely innocuous. It was on the phone, my one sister that wasn't with us in San Diego. And she said something. It was nothing offensive or anything. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, it was such a trigger for me. It definitely kind of re-triggered what I would call some anxiety. So what I came up with when I was tapping is lack of safety and always feeling like I'm under attack. Some very old feelings, and being able to tap on that. I think that's you, Meenakshi. Yes, it is. Hey, Meenakshi. I'm going to wave at you. So that's really good to pay attention to is when, what was going on at the time you decided, hey, Tana, oh my God, I almost got Donna. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Tana. That's great. I really appreciate you giving me the rhyming with Donna. It so helps. So, but pay attention to, what was going on at the time when you took the first smoke. That's a key. And then, the other thing too, like I said, my two sisters said, oh, it was so hard. Well, there's, hey, Tiana, how are ya? So just paying attention to, the nicotine addiction. Like I said, my father just freaking put it down, just stopped. But, he never really stopped a sugar addiction. So the other things that I've heard is, about smoking too. If you think about it, you're taking deep breaths when you smoke. So one thing that I had explained to me in my training is pay attention to taking some deep breaths just in and of themselves without the cigarette. And just try that, even if it's one or two. Start paying attention and taking those breaths anyway, because what I know from both of my sisters that were smokers is there was such a calming effect that smoking had. The other thing, and this is the biggest part of this, which I freaking say this all the time, check in on the self-judgment that you have about being a smoker. It's interesting because smoking, much like being overweight to me, is this completely acceptable prejudice that we have about people. That we can, get mad at people. And I'll tell you this, I've got it too myself as far as the smoking thing goes. Secondhand smoke, because I was raised around it. My mom smoked everywhere. And one time we went out to eat and there were 8 of us and she was the only smoker. And she said she wanted a smoking table. And I said, no way. No, you're not. No, 7 of us are not smoking. Like I totally was like, no, that's not going to happen. But think about it. There's such a prejudice that we all have in regards, if you're a non-smoker, that you can have about smokers. So as a smoker, pay attention to your own self-judgment about it. What are you saying to yourself about yourself for being a smoker? What did you say to yourself, in particular, Judy, after you smoke that first cigarette. It's so similar to eating something. You're like, the beating starts afterwards. So what I want to tap on in this video is the judgment of self about, I blew it. I took that cigarette, I did the dreaded, just one, and I'm off and running again. Because that's the thing that's holding it in place, is the beating that's going on about, having done it. I'll tell you something that happened to me the other day. I think most of you know, when I've talked about it on here, when I've hiked up here, I went through this period where it was like I was having altercations right and left with people about my dogs are great, really well behaved and really sweet, but I have them off the leash. I know there's an ordinance against it, and I tell everybody, just call whoever you want. I haven't had an altercation in a long time, but the other day I was kind of walking behind this boy, and this woman with her husband was walking towards us, and I happened to be behind him, not related to him. He had a dog, big dog, off leash. My dogs encountered his dog. There was no problem. But she just charged at this little kid. You need to get the dog. And I was like, whoa. The whole rescuer in me just bing came to the surface. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to lie and wait for her to approach me, and then I'm going to freaking take her out. And I'm telling you, so she comes towards me, and she goes on the same attack with me. You need to get your dog on a leash. Your dog bit me, growled at me the other day. And I'm like, my dog? That's what I said to her. I go, my dog. And she goes, that dog right there. I'm like, that's not my dog. That's my dog. And then she goes, oh. But then she caught herself, and she was embarrassed about it because she was, on the attack. And then she said, well, you still need to get your freaking dog on leash. I've done this myself. Like, I've had that energy. And guess what? I'm like, today, I'm going to bang my shopping cart to hers. And I go, my dogs are very well behaved. Call whoever you need to call. Yes, I understand the ordinance. I know the laws. I know I'm breaking the law. I totally get it. Do whatever you need to do. I'll pay the fine. And then she kept at it. And I finally was like, fuck off. And then the husband goes, we really need to just, okay, look, ladies, the point is, when he started to say something, my dog walked up and started licking him on the leg, and he started to laugh. But his wife was just at it. She had a bone to pick, and I happened to be, because I was like, that little kid was so smart, he just took off. So I, picked up the fight for him. And I just was like, I go, fuck off. I know the rules. So why I tell you that story is I totally made a conscious choice in that moment. Like, I'm going to bang my shopping cart. And try not to make yourself wrong when you make choices like that. Do I want to walk around doing that all the time? No, I certainly went through a phase in my life where I was doing that a lot. And now I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this, and I'm making a choice about it. And why I say that is, I could go down the rabbit hole and completely make myself wrong for that. But so when you took that first drag, and then you're like going down the rabbit hole, pay attention to the beating that's going on with yourself about it. And here's the thing. Can you make it okay that you've done it? And of course right now you can't, but the idea is I did it. I'm back in it. I'm back in it, and start to soften the self-judgment about it. It is so, so, so key. The self-judgment is the thing that holds patterns in place. So let's tap. After my, stories, karate chop. Even though I'm judging myself, actually, no, I'm condemning myself. I blew it. I took that one dreaded puff, and I'm back in it full bear. And I'm totally pissed at myself. And I'm totally judging myself. And I'm not accepting myself at all. Even though I'm condemning myself, I'm making myself wrong, I'm telling myself I'm bad, my self-talk sucks, I blew it, I was on such a streak, and I blew it. I choose to acknowledge my feelings now. Even though I'm coming down hard on myself. And of course I am. Because this is what I learned to do. This is how I learned to treat myself. The way I was treated. No compassion. Hey, Joanne. No kindness. Especially around smoking. I mean, that's so bad. I choose to acknowledge this self-punishment now. I am totally condemning myself. I blew it. I was on such a streak. And now I've totally blown the streak. This is how I learned to treat myself. Because it's how I was treated. I immediately start to stack all the evidence against myself. No loving kindness. No compassion. But how would I know how to treat myself that way? With loving kindness and compassion. It was not really taught to me. So what if, right here and now, no matter how far down the smoking rabbit hole I've gone, I could just consider sending myself just that much loving kindness. Yeah, that's too much. So what about maybe just a little acceptance? I started smoking again. I'm sure there was stuff going on for me. And what if this is actually how I start to change this pattern? I stop. I go back into it. And maybe now I can start to consider stopping the beating. What if this is actually really okay? Maybe even good. Because it's revealing to me how unkind I can be to myself. And I might not have seen this had I kept my streak going. What if it really is okay? I'm not a bad person because I smoke. I'm not stupid. I actually started smoking to soothe myself. I didn't pick up a cigarette and go, yeah, I'm going to do this because the nicotine is so good for me. And actually, I just want to destroy myself. That is not it at all. I actually chose to do it to find some comfort I never got, that I somehow found in cigarettes. So what if the key here is to find the tiniest little uptick here and just keep looking for that, and simultaneously keep tapping on the beating and start to rearrange my brain and reprogram it to tell myself a different story, and let myself know that'll take time. And maybe start to learn patience with myself. And what if the more I do this, over time, the less likely I'm going to be to punish myself and go even further down a rabbit hole. And I can check myself sooner and shift my habits sooner in ways that support me. I don't have to believe this yet, but it definitely sounds better than the self-beating and I like the idea that this is actually revealing to me some wounds, and I can tap through those and then take a breath. So thanks everybody that has been here live, and that's the reason for my story about with the dogs yesterday. Was same thing, like I could go down the rabbit hole and go, oh my God, I blew my streak. And I was like, no, I made a choice about something, and I wanted to, and I did go there. And I was like, no, this isn't about a streak. This is about me learning to be a better version of myself. Back home again, Marty. Oh, I love that painting. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Tana. I am back home. And then I'm going again late next week to take my daughter back up to college. I'll have to tap a little. So maybe a lot. But anyway, yeah, back home. So just, this is the key to me. This is the first step with the smoking, is don't even try to stop smoking now. Don't even try to have that change. Just be like, right now, I just need to work on the beating that I'm doing on myself, or the self-judgment that I have about myself because I got back into the smoking, or I blew the streak. So Joanne, Tana, Tiana, Meenakshi, I'm trying to see Julie, whoever else that I didn't see. Happy to have you all here live, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for the topic, Judy. It was really good. Bye.